What's going on, guys? Goose here, bringing you my first Division video, and let's just jump right into it. So we have a lot of news that came out this week. Firstly, yesterday, which is August 30th, they dropped the trailer for the 1.8 update that's coming in the coming months. This update is titled Resistance, and it comes with a couple modes. One is a new PvE mode called Resistance, and in this mode, they described it sort of like a horde mode where you have waves of enemies coming. You can play with friends or you can play solo, and the difficulty level will adjust accordingly. So basically, you hit waves that come at you all the time, and you destroy as many enemies as you can, last as long as you can, and eventually you get a reward towards the end, depending on how well you do. They finally gave us this long-awaited PvP mode. You would think this is so simple for people to do. The Ghost Recon has the same issue. Ghost Recon Wildlands has the same issue. They just don't want to put in standard PvP, team deathmatch, skirmishes type thing. So that's what they did. They finally gave us a skirmish mode, which is basically a 4v4, fast-paced, action-based mode where you focus on combat solely. No more running around for a long time, no more AI, no more objective, just straight PvP. And that sounds exciting with a game that's based around gunplay. So the west side Pier has also been added to the 1.8 update. And they showed that off today when they did a live stream over at Twitch. You can check the description as well if you guys want to look at any kind of details based around that. But they did a live stream of them exploring the west side Pier, and we got to look at some of the enemies and all the cool stuff about the west side. And we'll go deeper into that in a little bit, but I want to touch on a few things before that. The RPM glitch has been going around the 1.7 update, and this is very important, so you guys listen up. The RPM glitch fix is in the works, so they're testing it. They have the fix for it, they're testing it, and they will release it as soon as they know it's ready for sure. But to anybody who wants to perform the RPM glitch, or the exploit, and abuse it, well, guess what? They have something planned for you guys. They are promising, and you know, people don't believe them when they say this before, so they're reiterating this. They're promising that you will be banned if you abuse this exploit. How far you have to go to get to that point, I don't know. Maybe if you do it every login or so. If you try it once, I'm not sure, but definitely I would just avoid it because they're definitely going to throw out some bans, and I would be afraid for that to happen to any of you guys, especially myself. So I definitely would not be trying that exploit anytime soon, or at all for that matter. In other news, we know that the second global event is coming up. They had some issues with the first one with the leaderboards not ranking people correctly, the math being wrong. Well, this time they're trying to get it right. So the second global event has actually been delayed by 1 or 2 weeks, which sucks, but it's for the better. People were complaining about them not being placed in the right rank. So them working on the leaderboard issues will definitely help out at that time. Lastly, before we get into the 1.0 update news, we have events coming up this weekend, which is the September 1st weekend. An event where when you kill named enemies and you get extra drops. So you can do this in the underground, you can do this in Manhattan. As long as you kill a named enemy, you get 1 extra drop. So we know that named enemies throughout the world can drop classified gear. There's a 3% chance that they can drop classified gear, and this extra drop that happens does not apply to classified gear, which is unfortunate. But I mean, there's still a chance you can get classified gear. You just get extra gear, which is always a good thing. Now, onto the 1.8 update. We got to look around the west side Pier on the stream today. Again, link in the description if you guys haven't checked that out. And one thing we got to see is this aircraft carrier, which they called the Intrepid, just looms over the west side Pier. It's pretty awesome to see. It's pretty huge. And at first I thought that maybe there would be an incursion happening in that thing, but they confirmed that there is no new incursion for the 1.8 update, which is kind of disappointing. But then again, I do understand. They want to focus more on these new modes and appeasing the fans for what they've been waiting for, which is this new PvP stuff, and also this horde mode sounds really cool. So we're excited for that. But anyways, this Intrepid thing, this aircraft carrier, in this location, you'll be able to dwell deeper into this actual thing. So it's not just an aesthetic thing hanging out in the background, you know, a piece of background. It's actually an interactive piece of gameplay. You can go in there, and as you're doing the new horde mode, or what they call the resistance mode, the higher levels you go up, the deeper you can go into the Intrepid. So it's going to be awesome to be able to see the inside of that thing, and I'm excited for what's to come. As we know, some people do like the dead zone, some people don't. But guess what? D-Tech, which is this long forgotten piece of currency or material, whatever you want to call it, from the division is now making a return. But it's not just making a return in the dead zone, it's also making a return outside of the dead zone when the 1.8 patch drops or update drops. Now this is very important, so listen up. If you guys are hoarding D-Tech, this is a good news for you. If you guys aren't hoarding D-Tech, you need to get into the dead zone right now and start farming that stuff, because they said that it's going to be a very important piece of the puzzle when it comes to the 1.8 update. What that alludes to, we have no clue. Maybe you can use it to buy certain items, but they said it's going to be important. That's all they can say. That's all they can disclose. So I'm going to be farming the tech for sure. I don't know if you guys are going to be doing it, but I'm definitely going to be doing it. So I suggest that you stock up on a couple of those at least. But in regards to the D-Tech being found outside of the dead zone, it will be in the west side pier. So as you're going throughout the world, you'll have the chance of getting D-Tech at the end of each mission, or even dropping randomly. So that's an exciting thing. The stream itself was sort of underwhelming. We thought we were going to be able to see the horde mode a little bit, and also a little bit of the PvP. That's what I was kind of hoping for. It didn't really amount to that. They just showed the west side pier off, which is awesome. It's an early developer build, so things were a little bit choppy. Things weren't exactly smooth. But we got to see some really cool things like the interactive dynamic spawning, they called it. They didn't say the interactive part, but they called it the dynamic spawning of the enemies. So basically, it's pretty awesome. You can see that the enemies actually spawn in very dynamic areas. So depending on the route you choose to go throughout the west side pier, you know, the enemies aren't just in certain areas that when you pass them, you're there. They actually spawn onto you. So it's like they're ganking you in a way, as said in the stream. I saw one guy randomly appear at the top of a truck above us, and you had to actually look above yourself, or at least the player did, look above himself to see the guy and shoot the guy down. So it's not like they're just in the streets, they're in a group, they're hanging there, you can flank them. Sometimes they'll recognize you and they'll see you and they'll attack you. Sometimes they won't, but it's a very dynamic thing. It's not so cut and dry as it was before. Okay, I saved the best for last. Let's get into the best for last. Okay, there isn't much details around this. Don't get mad at me about that. It's not my fault. It's kind of their fault for not revealing it. But they did tease us, and they did say that there's going to be a new exotic, not just a new exotic weapons, plural. There's an S on the end, in the 1.8 update. So if you guys have been farming those exotics and you've gotten every single one, and you're kind of bored of using the same exotics over and over again, well, guess what? They're dropping new exotics in the 1.8 update. Anyways, that's all the news I have for you guys. Like I said, check the description below for all the links to the trailer, to the Twitch VOD, to the state of the game video, and all that stuff. And I'll see you guys next time.